Test, test. Test, test. Ladies and gentlemen, it's once again time for Sim Racing Heat. In season number 4, we are heading to race number 4 already. In season 5, it has been already very entertaining, and as you can see, we are heading to the beautiful Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada, Montreal, and we will talk about the track briefly. We have a lot of chicanes that are connected by various long straight, and only one really fast turn. That is turn number 5, and the rest is straight up chicanes. And then we have the infamous Wall of Champions at the exit of 14, and it's gonna be DRS Slipstream Festival. As you can see, there are 3 DRS zones on this track with 2 detection points. If you can pass someone into the last chicane, then you might be under pressure again later in the lap into turn 8 and 9. Usually that's not the best overtaking opportunity, as it's very narrow there, and you receive very fast corner cutting warnings. Let's look at the season calendar and how we got here so far. We have completed Spain, Austria, and last week we had the Silverstone GP, and currently the championship looks like this. If you wanna, we have Critical Damage, who has retaken the lead at the top. He's the first guy to do 2 wins in the season after John Meister took the inaugural Spanish Grand Prix. Critical was himself leading for some laps in this race, but unfortunately fell short because of the invisible bump in turn 13 at the end of the last sector. And then we had him take a very decisive Austrian GP win after people had penalties. And last time out, we had a very interesting race between him and Andy Andre, who finally showed up more on the board, scored his first podium of the season after 2 very difficult races. And he had a very late fight with Fellison, who is currently also behind him in the standings, that made him lose some time to Critical in front, and then he only could pass him in the last 2 corners to make his to make him secure the second spot. As you can see here, he is has scored the second place, 18 points here. And we had also a very interesting race in overall with Pleasant Snake in the mix as well. Both him and Fellison pitted on lap 1, as you can see on the right hand side, to change to a tire that would last 25 laps. Snake later said that they didn't feel so great, but he knew he could manage them to the end, and he did that. Fellison was a bit more comfortable with his tires, because obviously the hards, they warm up a bit slower, but you still make more laps easily. And that maybe cost him. That cost Snake maybe the podium here, but still good performance. He's currently also in the top 5 for the championship. And we had multiple drivers starting on the soft tire to go to the medium later. We had an early safety car on lap 1 where Fellison and Snake pitted, and they had been at the front from the get-go. Started in a good position, 5 and 10, and then went to secure top spots. Yeah, Jack had a very lonely race, was later overtaken by John Meister, who had the switch up strategy, and they were fighting for some time. Bosnian started in second. Unfortunately, we missed the qualifying last time out due to issues for me unable to connect to the lobby. Moksha had an early crash, went to the hearts as well, and was suffering from a front wing damage, and that didn't help him as well. 3 guys did not finish the race last time out. And then the current Constructors World Championship looks like this. Red Bull with John Meister and Fellison, who have scored 20 or more points in the first 3 races, means that they are at the top, followed by Ferrari, who are very closely matched with Williams. Moksha had a very good first race, and Jack has secured good points in every race so far. And that means 51 to 52 compared to Ferrari at the moment. B-Cup Racing Bulls 3 points ahead of Aston Martin, who are themselves 1 point ahead of Mercedes. And then it's Haas and Sauber, Kick Sauber on equal footing with 10, and McLaren has 5 to their name. And in last place for the moment is Alpine, who's managed to score their first points. Last time out was Bosnian. He was in a fight for the win in Spain, but out of contention for Austria. Had a late collision in Spain, couldn't secure those points, and was left with nothing. Generally speaking, it's very closely matched with most of the teams, but Red Bull seem to have the better combination as the 52 points. All points that have been scored by critical damage, our current and reigning world champion. We are 1 minute past the hour, and I hope we can get into this session now. F1 game is selected. Let's see if anything is going. I don't see you. No, I'm in. All good. We will be having 15 drivers for tonight. Most of them are on your, all of them are on your screen right now. We will cover them soon. And we head into the short qualifying for the Canadian Grand Prix, one of the best races we had this season, if not the best, in my opinion. Very entertaining to watch, and also the qualifying session was like no other. They were separated by nothing, and 2 people scoring the same time in qualifying has never happened after the freeway fight pole in Jerez in 1997 between Michael Schumacher, the later world champion Jacques Villeneuve, whose father gives his name to this racetrack, and obviously Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who was teammate to Jacques Villeneuve in that year at Williams. We have a very sunny Isle de Notre Dame, and I think the game is way too quiet. Give me a sec. Let's see what this is. Skip the positions. Okay, with no count check, I can't tell if it's good right now or not. We will figure that out on the go. The first car on track is the Alpine of Bosnian. Yeah. So, let's look at the drivers for tonight. We have, as already mentioned, John Meister and Fellison for Red Bull, Romanian partnered with the Hungarian. There's a familiar face in the Alpine again, as is Bosnian helmet, together with Crankyork, and Pais is in the McLaren. started off as a reserve and has joined McLaren after the first race. Andy Andre again with us tonight. Kovalska is as well. Critical is Schazer takes the Aston Martin. Also has been promoted from the reserve driver role. Then it's Control and Pleasant Snack for VCAP. And we got Slayer, the only Kicksauber for tonight. The only host for tonight is Supermax. And we got Moksha with Jack in the Williams. That is 15 for us. As we have Bosnian Helmet starting his first lap. And presuming he will not invalidate his time, it is actually gonna be him who will be setting the first benchmark of tonight. I would assume we will be looking at 1 minute low 9s, maybe high 8. I don't know what Critical or Control can produce. Oh, and there's a half spin for Bosnian. He immediately switches to the overtake button to compensate for the time he has lost. Went a bit more on a hard cut for the right hand side and left the left hand side some space as he hits the brakes for the hairpin. That is turn 11. No, I think maybe, no, must be 10. Don't know if that little bend before the hairpin counts. This is turns 13 and 14, also known as the World of Champions chicane. And Bosnian crosses the line to take us to a 10.1. Let's see who's the next guy. That was Moksha, just missed that, a 10th behind. Next is a Red Bull, that's on an out lap. Behind that it's Control, he has invalidated his time. Then we got Andy starting his lap. The next is Chaza, who is also on an out lap. And then we got Jack on an out lap. Kowalska is the next to cross the line.
My evil eye ready to kill some Stronzos.
Thank you very much for your follow, Trickstar. Welcome, welcome. And there's a 12.3. That seems to be a bit of a banker time for Kowalska. Pies is crossing the line now. 14.1. I would assume that that is a banker time for him as well. Next is the Alpine of Krankjork, who is currently led by the Red Bull of Fellison, who invalidated his time. And there was another car behind that. That was Bosnian who went into the pits. Let's go with... Has Moksha completed a second lap? He has, but it was a slow one. Andy is next to cross the line, maybe a 0.9 now. No, 11.1. And after that there was Control starting his lap. Shaza now into second, as Jack has been promoted to 4th. And there is Kowalska behind his teammate. His Pies completed a second lap, second out lap, a cooldown lap basically. Shaza or Jack for pole? Yeah, could be. Critical has not been out on track yet. And I still want to see what Control and the other guys can produce. Slayer and invalid lap time. Speaking of Control, he is there. Where's his teammate? Is just starting a lap. John Meister. No, that was Fellison. Fellison into 7th. Wing damage though. That's unfortunate. Okay, let's look at Control. Invalidated his lap. John Meister had a second run. 0.10. 0.11.0. That is currently P5 as it stands. Next to cross the line as a Mercedes. This seems to be Kowalska. Goes deep and over the curb, and that is no good for him. What about Pies? Seems to be on something here. Improves to 4th. That's a 10.6. And immediately invalidates the lap time. Slayer without a time currently in P13. Crosses the line. Goes to 6. Very good effort from the Kick Sauber driver. Next up is actually Pleasant Snake, who goes into 2nd on a 10.2. Great effort from the V-Carb driver, who's currently in P4 in the standings. Who's next? Control is invalidated it again. And Crankyok starts the next lap. There's a pit stop for Supermax. There's a pit stop for Fellison. And Critic is starting his lap now. We will be going on board with the Ferrari driver, our current world champion. Goes into turn 1, brakes where the asphalt ends. Chooses 3rd gear up the hill. The only real way this track climbs. There's a very hefty chance of a cut into the first chicane. He manages. He's at a 19.2 after hitting the braking boards for turn number 6. Went through the next chicane beautifully. And now hits the brakes for turn 8 and 9. Make sure you don't cut on the outside. This big hefty curb is not there here for us drivers in the game. As Russell has found. Oh, there's a huge lockup when hitting the brakes. Thought it happened. But there is a banker time needed, and there's a bit of a slipstream by a Mercedes on the back straight, and he is gonna love this critical. Now hitting the brake after the bump, turns in, very aggressive on the rotation there. Crosses the line to go to P1 on a 1 minute 9.598. And he's currently up by 6 tenths to Bosnian Helmet, who was in 2nd place in Great Britain as well. And Andy Andre is currently on a lap as well. We will be looking if other people will be crossing the line. Bosnian into the pits. That is Williams. That is Jack on an outlap starting as is Chaza. There is a Red Bull. Both of the Red Bulls are currently starting a lap. Krankyok seems to be starting this one as well. Control is at the back there. Carlson just started, and John Meister is here currently behind the Mercedes of Andy Andre, who's gonna finish his lap. Doesn't go too deep, but slightly touches the wall on the outside. It's not gonna be anywhere near his rival. He's still over a second to P2 behind on pace. What about Kovalska? Hits the brakes for the last chicane. Doesn't touch the wall. Can he improve? Can he beat his teammate? He cannot, but he has improved by 7 tenths of a second. That's a good effort by the second Mercedes. As now Jack, who seems to be favored for the pole position, is on his way to the line. 1 minute point 10.2. And Pies goes up. No, he starts another lap. He currently starts another lap. And Fellison into the 1 minute 11.3 to 1. As Chaza starts another lap. Everyone seems to be going for the second outlap or cooldown lap in between. He has control. He only can achieve a time of 10.8. And John Meister goes to 2nd. He's the closest rival to Critical now. Just under 2 tenths. Great effort from the Red Bull. That's good to see. And there's an invalid lap for Critical at the moment. There's Supermax behind him. On an outlap, then we have outlap for Bosnian as we hit the 6-minute 30 mark of the session. You can achieve 2 runs at this stage on top. Sean is probably on his in lap, yeah. What about Pies? Aborts his lap. Moksha currently still in 7th. Has not improved. Invalidation for Crankyork. And that seems to be another fast lap for the Mercedes of Kovalska. Crankyork and Supermax need to find time to not be starting second to last and last. There's an improvement of 2/10 for Kovalska in the first sector. That is a good effort from him so far, but there seems to be something not clicking for him right now. I can accelerate his pace in the qualifying session, or he's maybe compensating his setup for maybe rain session in the race. We don't know, and he has lost the advantage of 2/10 in the second sector, and he's now coming to the last chicane. Let's see if he continues his lap. He will be. Hits the curbs. There's a spin for V-Cup on the main straight. And Kovalska improves by 3/10. But no further he goes. And Moksha starts his lap. As we can see that Pleasant Snake has spun. Currently on a 10.2. Next to cross the line is the Kicksauber of Slayer. Let's see if he has invalidated both of his lap times. Yes, the current one and the next one is invalidated. And there's been another effort by John Meister, who could not improve on his time. And there was control into a 10.256 as it stands right now. And Andy is starting another lap. Let's go on board. Remembering how Critical took these corners, there was a hefty lockup into the hairpin, and there's most of the time Critical can still find on this lap, and he will be looking to improve to secure his pole position even further. There's been a second correction to the input, and Moksha goes to a 9.999, and that's the closest thing we will get to perfection tonight, I would assume, unless someone hits like a 1 minute 10 flat. Andy Andre is on his current attempt. Oh, and he goes deep again and cuts the chicane. Way too late on the brakes from the Mercedes driver. That is not what he wants. Outlap or second outlap for Jack at the moment. There's Pies. Second outlap as well. Chaza. Second outlap it seems as well. Most of the guys gunning for that second outlap. Currently 4 people on a 0.2. I didn't know I was so wrong about the predicted times. And there's Fellison into the 1 minute 10.1. Very good effort. And Bosnian Helmet goes to first! Unbelievable attempt with 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go by the Alpine driver. Out of nowhere, maybe he thought himself, I'm not gonna start behind Critical again. What an effort! We know that there's still some time in Critical damages left, but still, good effort, and that might or might not be his spot on the first row, even if it's not pole position at the end, and everyone is going out to the track right now, is scrambling for positions. There's a slow moving Mercedes of Andy Andre, who has just restarted his lap. There's Fellison into the pit lane. Then we have, is that Williams? There's another attempt. Fellison has retired. He will go no further than P5 as Moksha starts his final attempt. Slayer will do so soon, and there is currently an invalidation for Supermax. Still sitting at a 1 minute 17.4. Next to cross the line is Control, who has currently invalidated his lap time. I hope for him the next lap is not, and it doesn't seem to be. There's another start to the lap by Pies, and there's another one for John Meister. Next was Krankjorg, yeah. And now there's Critical. After that it's Snake. And it's Andy Andre, who will be finishing the qualifying runs first. Andy Andre is only up to 1 minute 10.3 and will start no higher than 10th place. There's another attempt started by Shaza, but he has a front wing damage. That can't be good for his lap time, as the checkered flag is out. No more times for both of the Williams. Slayer is through. Puts it to 1 minute 10.6. Kovaska is through. There's Supermax. Can't improve. Control goes to 7th. Very closely behind his teammate. Next is Spice. Invalidation. Has John Meister an answer to the top 3? No, he has not. And next to cross the line is Krankjorg. Improvement on his time. Where is Critical? He takes pole position! What an effort by the current World Championship leader, as Pleasant Snake is unable to improve and will stay in front of his teammate. And critical damage has reached a 1 minute .158 on the final attempt. What an effort by the Ferrari driver. That's a pole position lap time by almost over 0.3 of a second to his nearest rival, as Bosnian Helmet reclaims second place for the second time in a row, and John Meister is back with a good starting position, as he has been struggling in Great Britain with the opposite strategy. Made some places at the end, gained some points, but still lost out in overall, because he was right in the mix. And Moksha seems to be back. He is below the 1 minute 10 count by 1,000 of a second. Has struggled after a very good opening race in Spain to secure points in Austria, because he DNF'd. And then there was more calamity to his race. Ferguson is in P5, is followed by Pleasant Snake Control. Then we have Jack, maybe a bit disappointed here. Shaza, Andy Andre, Pi Slayer, Kovetska, Krankjorg, and Supermax is currently 8 seconds behind the first position. That's going to be very interesting. Andy from the back. Well, 15 drivers, P10. As usual, we have a short break before we hit the track, and I will use the time to remind you of the standings for the current season. Critical is currently leading by 7 points over John Meister, and Pleasant Snake, both of his rivals, are down in P3 and P6 respectively. Jack is in P8, who's currently on 39 points, and Andy Andre has already a bigger gap with 14 points to P4. Then is Fellowson closely behind. Shaza and Control also closely matched with Gianpai, who is not racing with us anymore. Yusrin, I think, replaced by Darby, but he is not here tonight. Moksha on the 12 points from the first race. Slayer has scored in every one of the first 3 races. No Sibo for the first time in a long time is not here with us. Tonight Bosnian is looking to up that score because he's been on a good streak in terms of performance, but unlucky in some incidents and he couldn't make them count. And there's the Constructors World Championship as a reminder for you, and IP will be looking to secure more points with that good result now for Bosnian in the qualifying we just saw. And they are probably Sauber with Slayer against Tars. And Mercedes still need to close the gap to the front, but that's gonna be dicey because both of them are not in a good position on the grid. The only thing that works for them might be a different strategy. I have no idea how the tires will work here. Because in previous games sometimes also 2-stop was viable in 50% races because the rears wore out so fast. Then stopping a second time was the better option. Because all of the chicanes usually have traction zones. Oh, what do you mean usually? Every time you have to have traction out of these corners. There will be no formation lap, so as soon as the view switches, we will be going to the start, and this is happening right now as we go to 5 red lights. And the Canadian Grand Prix is underway as there's been a very bad start for one of the Williamses, and that seems to be Moksha. And around the outside, now to the inside is Bosnian. They touch, both of them touch at the front. And there's now John Meister on the outside. Fellowson has moved up already to P4. And Bosnian has been overtaken. Not by 1, but maybe by 2 Red Bulls now on the inside for the next turn. There is Fellowson, and Bosnian still sticks it to the inside as the front 2 make the way. And Shaza has spun. And there's a huge loss of front wing for the Aston Martin now. And a British safety car is called as I enable some data for you. And everyone needs to slow down. Both Mercedes have jumped some positions. Snake is down to 6 as Control stays currently comfortable inside the top 5. Moksha had a terrible getaway. My guy, he was just standing there on the start. And Critica has already increased his lead to 1.8 seconds. And it seems that people are picking up the pace again. So we might be under green flag racing. Bosnia needs to make sure... not yet, not yet. And there's a 10-second time penalty for Shaza for having a collision with Supermax. Don't know if he spun on his own or if he was hit by any of the drivers behind him. Everyone except for Supermax has started on the medium tires, so maybe that's a... Oh, Bosnian Helmet with a drive-through penalty! As has Fallison! Oh, that's big! That's big for the other teams behind! And Jack will lick his fingers from that. Because he's gonna be profiting from that, and Supermax has spun at the exit of 7. Now let's see if there's a move. Bosnian is on the inside of control. And he has been overtaken by the V-Cup as well. And there's a slight riding off the curb and onto the grass from Slayer. And now it's Andy Andre in the mix of Jack, and there's a pit stop already. I mean, the serving of the drive-through penalty for both of them drivers. And that's huge. That's huge for the race. And as we see the locking up of the tires a bit into the first corner, as Moksha now is at the fastest lap of the time. Fastest lap of the race, sorry. Who was that with the drive-through? Bosnian. And Fallison. Jack up to good position. P5 now, and John Meister has clawed and cleared the gap to the guys in front. Yeah, to the guy in front, which is currently critical. Has opened up a gap of 3.5 seconds as Andy Andre hits the brakes behind control for the chicane. Yeah, for the hairpin, sorry. A lot of chicanes, but this one isn't no chicane, as per definition. Overtaking in this turn is very difficult. It's a high-speed chicane. Usually you can't do anything in terms of under the braking. And now Jack is going for it on the inside, which turns to the outside. And now there's racing side by side as we watch from the rear view angle of the car in front, and that is currently control. And as you can see how further away they get because of their battling, and Kowalska is also in the mix there. Let's go to Pleasant Snake, also in the fight here. So basically from Andy Andre to Moksha, it's currently a fight. Oh, Moksha goes to the inside. Oh, that was some hard racing here into the chicane. Oh, please don't. He has another front wing damage to his front left end plate, but seems to be fine in terms of pace right now. As Supermax pits, and maybe John Meister goes for the lead. And the Red Bull takes P1 away from the Ferrari, and John Meister leads the race. As Critican now has to see if he can stay behind the Red Bull and be in his DRS window, as Andy Andre and Jack fight for P number 4 control, can get away. Kowalska's also in the mix there. They're very close to each other's diffuser. And Snake goes to the inside of Kowalska. And there's the second Williams in the back as well. Can he do it on around the outside? He cannot, but Kowalska goes wide, and there's been a contact with Moksha. Oh no. And there's a spin. Oh, Krankyok is out of the session. Krankyok has spun. And there's a safety car. Oh my word, that was so fast. But at the exit of turn 9, Moksha at the rear of the slowing V-Cup of Pleasant Snake, and he went into the back of him just slightly. And everyone is going for pit stop here. I think Moksha is gonna like this one because he has front wing damage. So that was lap 4. That was Pleasant Snake against Kovatska. Spin from Moksha plus Krankjorg. DNF. I just really hope these tires don't make the whole distance again, just like in Silverstone. The races, we have two different options for tires early on. When an early safety car happens, I mean, are way more interesting. Because Bosnian seems to be going for the 2-stop with the medium right now, and Moksha also swapped to the soft. So if the choice is drag out these hards till the end, or have a 2-stop with maybe a medium soft or a soft medium, I would take that. But that's unfortunately due to the tire compound they actually have here. Shaza has 4 lap old hard tires, and he won't be looking forward to the rest of the race, even though they are now conserved a bit under the safety car. And there has been a change up front wing to Moksha's car. Also double stacks? No, no stakes. V-Carb had a double stack with Control and Pleasant Snake. Usually in this game, and how they fixed it or adjusted it in the last year's game, or last game, in 2023, there were adjustments to the double stacks, and the gap was reduced by some margin for the double stack to be more worth of anything. So 5 seconds is usually still the minimum gap you need to have to not be held up by your teammate, because the animation is kind of like stuck. But that's by design, so they wanted to reduce that, and that has been in the game since, and also in this year's game. And Snake will probably still have felt a bit of a hold up by his teammates. Obviously Pies benefited from that. Critical wasn't really under pressure from anyone. John Meister and Fellerson were a bit further apart than most of these teammates. And obviously Shaza and Slayer don't have any teammates here tonight as well, as John Meister has released the pack under the safety car and is now leading the race under green flags on lap 8 again. Don't be irritated by the safety car. If there's another yellow flag, it will be changed. And there's Bosnian on the charge now against these very hard to warm up tires. And that's not only by their name, but by actually physically warming them up. And there is Control putting pressure onto Jack. This Bosnian wants to make sure he uses these tires early on. Control and Jack are battling and losing out to the front already. Very deep for both of them. Bosnian moves past Pleasant, and Moksha has passed Fellerson. He's on the freshest and best rubber at the moment, and seemed to be having pace anyway. And there's now a three-way fight as Pies goes for the double overtake. But he has spent a lot of his battery on this first lap after the safety car, where there's no DRS assistance for the most time after safety car, because it has been reduced by 2 laps. And you just need to be patient for 1 lap, but it didn't seem to be for Pies. A lot of locking. That might also be only spectator caused locking. So I'm not the host. And Andy Andre has caught up to the first 2 because he has made some mincemeat of the guys in front. There has been a wide moment from control. And Jack is under pressure from... No, it's putting pressure on... Oh no! Oh no! Jack has lost it under braking and then has hit Kovacs. And Fellison was ghosted by that because the game thought that was too unsafe or maybe unfair as Critical moves into first place again. John has a lockup, goes wide. Is there a chance now with the DRS for Andy Andre? And John loses not 1 but 2 positions. And his teammate receives a 3-second time penalty. Andy Andre is trying to slow the car down on the outside. There's still John Meister. 10-second speeding in the pit lane for Slayer, who has retired. Maybe too much damage from the incident we didn't see. And they have now cleared the pack behind by 4.8 seconds as Critic is basically gone after that mistake from John Meister. And there's a moment for Moksha, who has been ghosted by the game once again. And I have no idea why. Maybe a lag? And Bosnian is into P4 and on the charge to close the gap down. Pies has been moved back to 6. Goes bit deep. Is there a chance for Jack? Just constant battling. And John Meister gets past Andy Andre again. Andy is on way less ERS than John. And Jack moves past Pies. And Chaza has passed Fallison. Maybe not completely. A bit sketchy there, maybe too deep. And Moksha wants to repass the drivers in front. Chaza also a 3-second time penalty. Fallison and him in P9 and P10. The only 2 drivers with these kinds of penalties. Kovacs, did he receive damage from that collision? No, luckily not. Critical is cruising away, 2.9, 3 seconds now. Pies moves past Jack again. This Pleasant Snake is behind this duo. Pies has no DRS from the car in front, which is currently control. He had good pace in the previous 2 races, but undid it himself by some penalties and a spin. More good points were in there in previous events. We are looking at roughly 26 laps on these hard tires. So almost 1 quarter has already been completed. As Jack has repassed Pies, is there opportunity for Snake? No, and Feddersen has also closed in. And while I was commentating that, Critical has taken another second out of the cars behind them. Although they don't seem to be battling that much. And there's a front wing damage for Fellison I can spot from here. And another 3-second time penalty. Front left end plate is missing, which is shit for a track that has mostly right hand side turns. Very nice helicopter shots there from the camera work. Red Bull is not gonna sweat this too much. Currently score points with both of them. Both of the cars, as Andy Andre has retaken second place. And the gap has gone up to 4.2 seconds. And Bosnian was slow there. Still closing the gap a bit. But the stars will dispatch sooner rather than later. What's with Moksha? Pit stop to the hards. Maybe doesn't feel the mediums, the softs anymore. And they have not been on for a very long time, especially considering they were put on under the safety car and slightly conserved, not used under racing conditions. Snake briefly showed himself, signaled Pies that he would be, or that he is thinking of a move. But I'm sure Pies is aware. Ellison and Shazo behind there as well, battling for position. Jack has moved past control and Snake has passed Pies, as there was a very close go for Fellison into the pit lane. And there's a medium tire and a front wing change for the Red Bull. So that's approximately 20 laps. And there's been a spin from John Meister! Oh no, he lost it! Out of this second, the first rear chicane. And it's caused a virtual safety car. And that is not gonna be the side Christian Horner was looking forward to at the start of this race, with his currently best seated driver starting from P3, but he will lose that. But the safety car is not gonna go for the whole duration of his pit stop, I would assume. As Andy Andre now has to claw back 7.5 seconds. And Bosnian uses that chance to pit. And if he's going for the second medium, he's going for the hard. That's still fair. This is a very fresh tire. Shaza's going to the mediums. That puts the race on its head. Clearly does. And there's a green flag at the end. And now who's and Jack is now into P3. And we see paused by John. Stops. Shaza. Bosnian. Is there opportunity for control into the chicane? Fernando Alonso had to stop his car in 2017 and went crowd surfing basically in the grandstand, as that seems to be a bit of a extended brake path for Jack in front of control here. And Andy has clawed back 2 seconds already. And V-Cup is looking to make it a good finish here, as Bosnian is into P6 on a fresh rubber. Very good. While the Alpine driver who's looking to improve his team's points, as Pies has received a 3-second time penalty for his troubles. Is there a chance for John Meister? No, there's a chance for Chaza. Both of these drivers have pitted for a fresh tire. John Meister behind. John Meister has pitted and went to the used medium, from the start. That seems to me that he selected the softer tire allocation, because if you select the balanced one or the harder compound, the extra hard, then you will be getting a second medium by default. And this collision now has set him up for a worse race situation, as Control has overtaken Jack. But Pleasant Snake is not close enough to overtake him as well. Pies re-overtakes Chaza for PA. I wonder what Fellison thinks of this situation now, because he is definitely on the better tire. Pace-wise, hard to tell probably for both of them right now, because they're stuck in the DS train, and that usually results in results that are maybe a bit washed out. So driving in clean air compared to a DS train is still a different story. Let's see if Snake is close enough. Control goes defensive on Jack. Oh, Jack has an oversteer moment and loses a part of his wing. Or was that Snake? No, Snake loses a bit of his wing on the left hand side. Oh no. He must have tapped the rear right tire of Jack there as he caught the car after the overcorrection. And the gap at the front is back to 6.7 seconds. Someone needs to challenge this man at the front. And currently preventing a win for critical has been only done by the invisible bump in Spain, not by any driver really. Now Fellison on the inside of his teammate, and Pies goes wide. And both the Red Bulls might be in attack position, because Chaza got the DS because he was behind. And now there's 3 wide battle. I can't see it, and the Red Bulls have collided. John Meister has hit the back of Fellison. And it's 2018 Abu Dhabi all over again. Apart from the DNF that caused both drivers to lose all of the points. And that's another damaged front wing to a car tonight. This time to John Meister's left hand side end plate. As Pleasant Snake has gone wide while fighting Bosnian. And both of them have lost the DS to the car in front. So the 4-way fight with Control, Jack, Bosnian and Snake has now been cleared up, and Snake pits. Chaza retakes 7th place. And Kovacs is now in the mix. He has overtaken all of these cars in front. Or did he lose position? Snake is in the pits. Fresh medium. Moksha moves past him, so Snake is currently last of these runners. I wonder if Kovatska is caught up to these guys because they battled so much? Because I don't think he was in between them. Control is 10 seconds behind Andy Andre, who himself is almost 8 seconds behind Critical. Patterson. And a fresh medium. After yet to change his wing as well, and no further than half a lap later his teammate, who's currently trying to overtake Kovaska, spun his car and caused a virtual safety car. Feddersen moved past Chaza. Bosnian takes away P4 from Jack, and now John Meister is back into P8 after passing Kovatska. Gap to the leader currently splitted by this. Critical could pit and would be coming out in P4 right now. Oh, and there's another spin by John Meister at the exact same position on the track, and there has been called another virtual safety car because of this, as I was talking about the fastest lap being in the hands of Bosnian Helmet. And there's a pit stop now from Critical. And Andy thought of going on. Soft tires for both of them with 13 laps to go. Yeah, I don't think... medium tires, sorry. The softs are not it, I think. And Bosnian Helmet is into second place because the gap from Critical was big enough to stay in front. Because now virtual safety car has reduced the lost lap time to roughly 10 seconds compared to the usual 19 to 20 on this track. And there's a drive-through penalty for Pies and P8. As Andy Andre is now 3 seconds away from these two. And he is probably gonna dispatch them as well. And Bosnian just needs to make sure he keeps himself in between the white lines, because his current rival with tires that are 10 laps older than him has a time penalty and is also behind him. Multiple drivers have pitted. Kovatska has pitted for the first and only time in this race. Where there are multiple drive-thrus. Pleasant Snake has also retrieved the drive-thru, and it's gone from bad to worse for the Norwegian, as he's probably going to be back in last position, meaning P12. So, pit stops. John Moksha both went in again. John for the soft. Jack for the softs. Moksha, medium. Kovatska, medium. And as we saw, both of the front two pitted for new tires as well. So Pies is out of contention. Snakes has pitted already. Has entered the pits to serve his drive-through penalty, I should say. Instead. And Kovatska is gonna be improving by 2 positions. Which is really good for Mercedes. Williams as a kind of a shocker. And V-Cup is like mixed, as Andy Andre has now overtaken control for P3. And Critica has now claimed the new fast lap of the race, as John Master receives a 3-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits for the third time in a row. And let's say for the third time overall. Because the third warning results in a 3-second time penalty as Moksha is into P9 past the works engine, the works team of Mercedes. And John Meister is probably following him suit within the next lap or so. Bosnian Helmet is fearfully watching in his mirrors. I think he will be happy and sad at the same time for P3 if he keeps it together, because he is faster than Control, but he is unfortunately not in the right position to do anything about Andy Andre, who is closing in very fast as Chaza has moved past Fellison once again for P5. Ice has not served his time his rifle penalty as of yet. Oh yes. That was quick. Then he was further ahead of Snake than I thought he was. As you can see by the track map, the field is basically split into 4 groups. The pack here at the back. Then the sort of middle pack with Chaza, Fellison, Jack. Then the lonely Control. And the top 3. No repassing opportunity for Fellison as they have completed another lap, and with 9 laps to go, it is looking very dicey for some drivers, because they will be benefiting from time penalties. Currently Jack, one of the names I want to mention. Although he still needs to get these soft tires to the end, and they won't be feeling good in a couple of laps. Presumably before the end of lap 33. As Moksha is looking to make a move on Pice. He makes a mistake, the McLaren driver that is. And now he's been overtaken by Moksha, and yeah, John Meister followed him through. Goes wide himself, that is probably a cut as well, as Fellison has repassed Chaza for P5. Both of them on penalties. Fellison is 6 seconds, the rest is on 3 seconds. So Perez loses 2 positions by overcooking turn number 6. And currently only 2 drivers will not be rewarded by any points. But as you can see, both of them outside the points don't have any time penalties, and the cars in front are very clearly in sight. So Fellison, John Meister gets another 3-second time penalty. Both Red Bulls now on 6 seconds. John Meister and Pice are under pressure from the guys behind, because the soft's gonna wear out. Pice's tires are old and the same age as the tire age from the 2 cars behind him. So there's still valuable points in, and there's another spin from John Meister, who seems to be getting his setup wrong for tonight. He has done it all in qualifying, but in race pace, overall stability, and the way he can push it The older the tires get, the more he struggles. That's probably gonna be retirement from him. A Snake has moved past Kowalska, and there's been another time penalty for someone. For Pies. John Meister hasn't retired yet, but will be lapped by all of the top threes now. As you can see, that NA is closed in within the second. John Meister is now invisible on the outside line of turn 2, because that's where the pit exit line ends on the track. And currently Pleasant Snake and Kowalska will be promoted by a position because of prize penalty. But no further than that. There's an 18-second gap to the car in front, which is Moksha. And Jack has lost the eyes window from the people in front. Control is on 24 lap old hard tires as we approach the last 5 laps of this race. It hasn't been action-packed from start to finish, but it wasn't a drought. So, as usual, Sim Racing Heat Season 5 or Sim Racing Heat NSA post-split always delivers, as Andy goes wide. Seems to be... And now John Meister has crashed it, and there's a late safety car for the whole field, and there's another drive-through penalty for Pies. He was too fast into the pit lane, and only him and Kowalska could benefit from that safety car immediately. What a dreadful one from John Meister. And I tell you what, his teammate is not gonna like this, because he will be losing positions en masse. And there's been a pit stop from Critica, yeah, I can see that. There's a huge gap. So currently Bosnian is back in the race because he has position over Andy Andre. And that's an equal fight now. Control decides he doesn't want to stay on these hard tires for any much longer. But Shaza and Fellison will be screaming, as will as Control. And Snake could be back in the race for a good points paying position here. Maybe even P4. Jack as well. He has no time penalties. It might be a slow stop for Moksha though now. Oh, Snake stays out. Oh no. Nah, that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake. And it will be like 2 laps maybe, but still, like, the fresh tires can pull a quick gap. And he wouldn't have lost anything. Pies has retired from the race. 2 drive-through penalties. And a lot of exceeding the track limit. Warning threshold for 2 penalties has been enough for him, so he decides he quits. And everyone in this race will receive points. Because there are only 10 drivers left, ladies and gentlemen. Race will be resumed at the end of next lap, but I have the feeling that Snake's gonna suffer because he will be overtaken by Moksha and Kovatska. And then lose out to the guys who will be pulling away. Because even if they battle, because I don't think Jack will too much, because he's safe from behind. And doesn't need to have a penalty, because if he gets himself a penalty, he's gonna be demoted and probably stay in the same position. So strategy, like driving strategy, overall strategy in terms of like driving and positioning, should be to see if there's an opportunity early on without too much risk. Because if someone makes a mistake in front of him, just can take the position without like pushing to the fullest. I think that's a mistake from Snake, honestly. There was Pice, who was the car behind, pitted as well. Moksha pitted. He was in front of him as well, I think. I was behind, but still, like, would have been P9. Fresh tires, yada yada yada. 2 more laps of this race under green flags will be on your monitors right now, and Critical's win that was quite easily in the back from the restart of the first safety car has been, has come under threat again, as Andy Andre just accidentally overtook control. Very slow from Critical. Safety car is in, so he fully controls the pace. Needs the tires to be warm. You can still receive a lot of warnings on these last 2 laps. Now there's a fucking advertisement. Fuck you, Twitch. We are underway for the restart. For the second and final time here in Canada. As there has been a good restart. Fellison is now around the outside of Chaza, but probably can't complete the move here. Oh, and that touched a bit. That touched a bit the Aston Martin and the Red Bull. As we head into turn 5-6 chicane. The turn 6-7 chicane, sorry. Snake isn't too much under pressure from now on. Fellison is moving into P5, goes deep or maybe overshoots it. They're just gonna keep the penalties here because he's the only one with 6. Jack realizes this opportunity, goes to the inside. Can he hold it? There will be dares for the final and 35th lap. The start of this lap now, and there's been a huge gaggle into the last chicane between Fellison, Shaza and Jack. Jack on the outside now. Turns to the inside again. Snake is under pressure from the Williams of Moksha, who has made him past him just now before hitting the brakes for the first chicane of turns 3 and 4. And there has been a white moment for Fellison, who cuts the corner and needs to let people by. And both of the cars he was battling with, and now Moksha has moved past them as well. No, next moment for his teammate, Jack goes white. And there's been a moment for Shaz as well. Now Fellison is to the inside as the front 3 look to be finishing like this, as Snake has locked up. Shaza still is fighting this through as we look to a very well-deserved winner once again. And Andy Andre has received a 3-second time penalty on the last lap, on the last chicane. Critical wins the race from Bosnian. And there's Andy into third place. He keeps the position. Now Control is fourth. Maybe overtaken. No, Moksha stays in fifth. And there's Jack into sixth. And everyone else is scrambled. Back by position and penalties. And Chaza finishes in eighth as we watch him cross the line. And that's been a huge race from Bosnian Helmet, who has made himself available for a late podium finish. As he finally reaches the result he wants, and Andy Andre wasn't able to overtake him before the safety car hit us again, and then the penalty on the last chicane, regardless of him having him actually overtaken before that, meant anything. And that's 3 race wins in a row now for Criticals, Bosnian Helmet, and Andy Andre. Finish behind him, and that's huge points for Alpine, who boost themselves up to 22 points now. Please give me the end result. Don't load so long. Fuck you, game. I hate that. Currently happens a lot. Well, we go to the interviews now. Give me a minute or two before we speak to the drivers. Be right back.
Hello.
Hey.
We are back with the interviews for this very eventful and very epic Canadian Grand Prix. And once again, for the third time in a row, we are speaking to the race winner, which is our current championship leader and also world champion Critical Damage. Congratulations once again. You have stood up for the test of time, and after 35 laps, you are once again on the top step of the podium. How do you feel right now?
Thanks. I'm not really sure what to say. I think the race actually had. I think there were quite a lot of races into a single one. Like the first part was quite interesting with John. He had a great pace. Actually, I think we were able to get a gap compared to the other. But then, the safety car came and the field bunched up. And yeah, after that, I was just controlling the pace after John and Andy lost some time. But then again, a safety car came out a few laps before the end, and then Boston Helmet was right on my ass, and he was again extremely fast, so I really had to push.
Yeah, it was a very eventful race in terms of how the pace distributed throughout the race, because we saw Bosnian take it again to P2, just like last time in Silverstone, and he seems to be on it from the get-go in Spain as well, but wasn't lucky with the results. So there were a lot of different contenders for your position at the different stages in the race. Let's look at also. We will speak to Andy about this soon, because he received a 3-second time penalty on the last corner. How close were you to a time penalty? Because lots of people have received some were also clear, and were probably on 2 or less warnings. How about yourself?
I only had one warning, I think lap 28 or something like that. So I was quite far away from a penalty.
Yeah, consistency is always rewarded, especially in Canada with all of these chicanes and track limits. Obviously, we will be heading to a couple of guys' home race next time with the Hungarian Grand Prix on the Hungaroring. How do you feel about this track, and can you extend your winning streak there next time out?
Um, until last season, I actually thought that Hungary was one of my better tracks, but then I got absolutely destroyed. So I'm not sure what to say, but the plan is to spoil the party and make it a Romanian Grand Prix.
Okay, that's quite a statement to the guys out there, but we will see about that, and let's see if you can be on the top step. Once again, thank you very much for your insights, and speak to you next week.
Thanks, bye bye.
And we move on to P2, which is Bosnian Helmet tonight. Congratulations on your podium. How do you feel about this race?
Thank you, mate. It was really tough race. Actually, I got unlucky on that drive through penalty. Maybe in that first virtual safety car. So I had to go through box and get the last place, and then step by step through the field, I managed to go up front. Had a really good pace, and congratulations to damage, critical damage. He deserved it. I left also on quali 4 or 5 tenths just in first sector, so a bit messy event, but hey, I'm actually on a holiday next 2 or 3 weeks, so I'm off. So good luck to you all.
Yeah, that was a quite eventful race for you. One thing I wanted to ask you about was the tire strategy. You and only Moksha went for a different tire strategy under the first safety car after your teammate retired from the race. What do you think was the go-to plan? Did you wanted to go to the actual double medium strategy? Because obviously we had these virtual safety car that just came in clutch for you, and you could pit for that hard tire because before we had the last safety car, just before the end of the race. Or what was your overall strategy going into like this pit stop phase when the first safety car came out?
Yeah, like I said before, I had just I had to do something different. So it was too early to go on hard for 30 laps or more or less. So I decided to go on mediums. So it was actually a free stop. So and hope for later safety car or virtual safety car. So it happened, and it was good actually. At the end, I managed to get decent points, but hey, messy, quite a bit messy once again from my side. So
Yeah, you said it. Some of the previous races were also kind of messy. You were in the top fight at the first race in Spain, and now you finally collected some of the rewards. You were putting your pace on front because, as we saw last time, you were also in second position at the end of qualifying as well. So, unfortunately, you have some momentum now, but there's a break for you. When will be the next race we see you? Do you know?
maybe early August. I don't know, but
Okay, maybe Japan then.
yeah. So 2 or 3 weeks I'm off. So, but maybe some time to to take a rest. It was a tough year, a lot of work, so I deserve it. I had to say that. So
Yeah.
it was good at the end. So last race also we had actually I had the pace for front runners, but it's always something. It's always something. That's my life story. So,
Yeah.
but hey, I had fun. It was all good. So that's the most important thing. I really enjoyed with these guys the race. It was clean racing. So maybe sometimes on the edge, but all fair, all hard racing and fair racing. I had to say that.
Yes, that was indeed the case. Okay, then I wish you a great holiday and speak to you after you return to our season. And hope you have a good time. And thank you very much for the interview.
Okay, thank you. Good luck. Good luck.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Next, and for the second time in a row this season, it's Andy Andre on the podium with us after a second place last time out. We have him in third position. Andy, how do you feel after that race, which was close throughout the whole way through? And we had, as Critica mentioned, some of the different runners for good positions at the first stage. You were in a fight with him, and then later John Meister joined you, and at the end now, just edging you out, there was Bosnia and Helmet. So how do you see this race from your perspective? Was there maybe more in it, or do you think P3 will satisfy the race for you tonight? Or what is your overall feeling after this race right now?
Well, honestly, I'm happy with P3. I had an awful qualifying P10. I was just happy to get the car to the end in one piece. But luckily I managed to stay out of trouble throughout the race. I didn't push too hard in the second stint on the hards. In the first phase, I was keeping quietly behind John, hoping that the three of us will pull up a big gap out in front. But then he started making a few mistakes, so I went for the overtake. I had the full ERS and DRS, and from then on, maybe I should have done that, because from then on there was kind of always the fight going on with him, and we lost a few time with that. But all in all, it was okay, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. We were looking to be in the position to take Bosnian, as he was not pitting under the virtual safety car. You and Critical both went for that extra stop, and you were catching up to him. Was there maybe a bit of a too conservative approach to that battle? Because I think you were some laps in his DRS, and just before the safety car came, there might have been an opportunity to pass him, and maybe now with 2 laps of racing after the safety car. There was nothing you really could do about the position. Maybe that's something to look into, or do you think that's exactly how you wanted it to be playing out at the end?
No, the last safety car really spoiled my race. My plan was to just keep behind Bosnian Helmet and charge the ERS for a late attack. But then the safety car came, and with him on fresh softs, it was tough getting ahead. I think he had the pace advantage over me today.
Okay, we will
So
look.
in the end, it's a fair result.
Okay. We will look forward now to the Hungarian Grand Prix. You will be probably in the fight as usual, or do you feel like this is one of your most disadvantaged track in terms of the calendar right now? What are your thoughts on Hungary?
Oh, well, personally, I like the track. I've always considered myself good at it. But last season, I had a bit of a wake up. A lot of guys were extremely fast at the Hungarian track, maybe because a lot of them are of Hungarian origin, and a few are just fast overall. So I don't know honestly what to expect, but maybe if I'm lucky, I can get the podium again. So hoping for that.
Okay, thank you very much for that interview, and speak to you next week.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. And for our final interview, I will be speaking to Wim's driver Jack. Jack, that was a very hectic and a lot of position changing race. You've been in a position to capitalize off time penalties from drivers in front, and at the end you finished just behind your teammate. P5 and P6 also result in good points compared to your rivals Red Bull at the moment, and they have been just getting out with 1 point after John Meister crashed. How are your thoughts about this race, and what do you feel would have been possible if not for some ongoing battles throughout the race, some laps long?
Yeah, it was a very eventful race. Felt like I was constantly battling with someone. But apart from when I was on the soft tires, that was the only time that no one was around when I needed the DRS. But no, it was good. It was a lot of battling, but yeah, eventful race. I think we could have, if I'd have kept it cleaner towards the end, could have been P4, but got caught up in it in the last lap and lost a few more spaces.
Yeah, we're talking about the DRS and the different tire strategies. As discussed previously, more people were onto the hard tires and probably trying to bring that to the end. Your teammate went for the soft under the first safety car. What are your thoughts on the overall tire lives compared to like the hard tires with the other options available? Because as we saw, you switch to the soft late in the race, and then there was like a gap forming, probably because the tires didn't hold up, or did you just struggle on them compared to hards or mediums?
They were quick initially, but I wasn't in a DRS tray, and the cars in front of me were, and I was catching them, and then getting to the DRS straight, and they were just leaving me again. So I just couldn't get inside, and then by the time sort of they came to the end of the life, then I was struggling. It was a bad choice. Should have stayed out on the hards. I would have liked to have gone mediums, but I went for the softer compound, so I didn't have any more mediums to put on.
Yeah, we have had some people do that. We had last time about Silverstone, we had seen that someone like John Meister, who started P3 tonight, was in like inside the mix, starting from P10. You yourself weren't that high in the qualifying result to tonight as well. How do you feel about what if could have accomplished if there was a better starting position for you tonight?
Honestly, probably similar results. I think the best I was going to get was P4. It's not a good track for me. I constantly felt like I was pushing my limits probably more than I should have done. So I was quite happy to get some points.
Yeah, looking forward to the next race then at the Hungarian, or is it more of a downward spiral from here now on for you?
No, I like the next race. I'm feeling optimistic. So yeah.
Okay, looking forward to speak to you there again soon. Thank you very much for this interview as well. And thank you for everyone who has tuned in for tonight. Thank you very much for the drivers for making this 15 driver lobby very interesting and eventful to watch. I hope you enjoyed this as well. If you did, make sure to leave a follow on this channel because we are returning in 7 days time for the 5th race of the season. And it's gonna be, as we discussed already, at the Hungaroring in Hungary. Some of these drivers are from there and we'll be looking forward to perform at their home race. After that, we have the rest of the typical leg in the European calendar with a follow-up in Belgium. And then we will be heading to a different layout in the season's calendar because, as you can see, Netherlands is a bit far away because there's going to be a season break at the end of July for the drivers in the real world. So we are going to be looking at Japan, Miami, and Saudi Arabia in between. So if you don't want to miss the action from this league, then make sure you check them out on YouTube as well to see the full races in length if you missed any parts of this one or the previous ones. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it and see you next time. Ta-da!